And welcome back to the Rock of Cair, Bryn. And let's start out, I guess, by introducing our player for this recording, this session, I should say. I keep wanting to say this evening or this morning, which is kind of pointless, but kind of traditional for us. So let's start off by introducing Tamara.
Hi.
Remember, it is also an audio podcast.
Hey.
Hey.
I'll say it louder.
I
Hi.
mean, wow. Okay. I mean, that's I guess an option you can do. Okay. So I have to remember. Actually, I will remember to record. I forgot. All right. So welcome back, everybody, to Rock of Cair, Bryn. We are about to begin, and last 2 episodes, I guess, we introduced Anthony's character last week, or last time, I should say, and we introduced Austin's in the beginning. So Bart and Shin. And for those of you on YouTube and on Twitch, you'll actually see their names, you'll see their little photos, and you'll see everybody's videos who have a webcam currently. Anthony does not, so we're still gonna muddle through for now with that, and we'll eventually, I'm sure, get it sorted out, or not, who knows. But here we go. So we are underway once more. So how about we start off by introducing, as we did last time, and we will start with Pree. You are on patrol. You are walking down a path. It is, I want to say, towards sunset, early dusk in the evening. Things are very quiet. Birds are chirping. But, you know, there's a change in kind of the animals that are about, and things are, you know, some things are falling asleep and some things are coming awake. So it's quieter than sometimes it can be when you walk through this forested area. You are on patrol, as you would do quite often, for the Temple of the Bringer of Life. And you are basically just watching out for bandits or, you know, problems on the road, people who've got broken down carts and things of that nature, basically kind of making sure everybody's okay. And that's kind of your duty around the temple, because this is a major traffic area between a couple of our capitals and as well as a lot of other areas. So I'm just going to show everybody the map on stream and on YouTube, so you guys can kind of see where things are and kind of come to grips with what we're talking about. So hopefully that decides to work, or is it because I've got it minimized again? Yes, that's exactly what I did. Okay, so I have to remember, as per usual, not to minimize that map. So we have, as you can see here, we have several different areas. We have Kiln Bay and Pentra, which is where Bart is from. And then we have the Temple for the Bringer of Life. Now, I'm going to move this screen down a little bit because I just realized you can't actually see the capital, which is Taunus, which is down on the bottom here. And that is the major center for most places, and this is kind of where people filter through. But the temple is a very important place, and because of that, it kind of follows on these roads. So that's effectively what you are doing at the moment. So what I would like you to do is, you're a paladin, you're not a traveling merchant. When did this happen? I just noticed she said her character's a traveling merchant. She also says she's mute. Are you talking? Because you sound muted. You are very much muted.
We talked about that.
No, this is nothing I remembered, so I'm As you were a paladin, I made you a paladin, not a traveling merchant. That I don't remember that discussion.
I have no idea what you're talking about now. So, okay, I guess we're on the same page.
Okay, your character is a paladin. That was the character you wanted.
Yes.
That's what we made you. A paladin generally isn't a
But she
traveling merchant.
Travels around by also doing that. We discussed that. I know we did.
All right. Okay, that's fine. But at this particular moment in time, this is what you're doing. All right. Either which way, would you describe your character for me?
I don't know now. Now I don't know.
Well, now you
It's
can
all a
describe.
mystery.
Anyway.
Austin's just dying. Don't lick my hand, Lily. It. What was I doing?
Describing your character, which is what I'm waiting for at the moment.
Well, she's half elf paladin.
Mm-hmm. What does she look like? Give me a description. Keeping in mind that while everybody else can see pictures, they don't necessarily describe your character.
Androgynous, basically.
Mm-hmm. And hair color,
and
build, eye color.
I never did figure that out, did I?
I mean, we went through a bunch of picture deciding, so that's where I kind of thought you were figuring it out that way.
Sorry, it's been a long day. My brain is not working. Okay. She's a half-elf who had her ears docked as an infant, so she appears human. She's androgynous.
Which, for those that don't know, basically means she looks like she could either be male or female, or neither.
Yeah. Pretty much blends in. Grayish white hair. I have no idea how tall they are. They exist.
Do you have your character sheet open?
Yes.
Good. What kind of armor are you wearing?
I don't know. Am I wearing armor?
Mm-hmm. Yes, you are. Okay. Oh, I'm in the wrong thing for this. I just realized. I'm looking at the wrong one.
Sorry, this is another different sheet all over again for me, so I'm figuring it out. I have no idea what kind of armor. Chainmail. Apparently I'm wearing chainmail. There it is.
Okay. She hath chainmail. She is a wanderer. So that's the reason why she said traveling merchant. But on this particular moment in time, she has been tasked with protecting this particular temple, which is a temple to the god she follows. So that was why she was doing this. She wouldn't obviously normally be doing this if we were to go by what Tamara described her character Pree to do. And we're going to try from here on out to say the character names rather than the people's names, so we can kind of be clear. So when I say the person's name, hopefully you remember your name of your person, because then it'll get a little confusing. Okay, so Pree, I would like you to roll me a perception check, if you would, please.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. If you want to know where that... Oh, you did. Okay, awesome. 18. So as you are walking, you will hear kind of a rumble in the distance, and it grows kind of louder and deeper, like a big thunderclap when it kind of goes off, and it continues. So where you get that first big boom, and then it just for a while, it's that kind of thing. And what we end up seeing, or what you see, is a great purple cloud come from the south. and slowly spread in the sky, even as, and it's clearly purple even as the sun's going down. Like, it doesn't change at any point during the descent of the sun. The only time it really changes a little is when it obviously becomes night and it's harder to see. But with the moons up, what immediately becomes apparent is the moons are blue, which they are not normally blue.
Okay.
So
Is the cloud coming towards the temple?
the cloud is kind of spreading out everywhere. So from your vantage point, it's like it looks like a great big fan spreading out and growing as it spreads.
Doing anything else other than just being a purple cloud?
As far as you know, that's all you can tell.
No problem.
Okay. All right. So you carry on. Now, is there anything you'd like to do this evening before you return to the temple?
Nope.
Okay. So you patrol for a little while. As you are walking back, a young lady who is dressed up in what looks to be very fine plate mail is walking towards the temple as well. And she walks up to you and says, "Hey, Pree, how's it going?"
That's it. That's what she says.
She responds with a nothing. I see. Talkative as
I
always.
said goes. Goes. She said goes.
Oh, goes. Okay, I didn't hear the goes. That must have broken up.
Oh, Discord cut out.
Yeah, I guess. So, goes. Okay. She says, well, because the other problem is I'm not really looking at you, so I don't actually see if you responded. She looks at you and says, well, you done for the night? I am.
Yep.
Okay. Let's head into the temple then, shall we? And you guys move in towards the temple. So to describe, you'll see it as you're in a forest down a cobbled road, which then opens up to a clearing, and in the clearing is this building, and it's a massive cathedral-like structure. It's actually probably bigger than most of the European cathedrals that are around. It's massive, and it has lots of alcoves and things off of it. So it's while it is a place of worship, it also has housing and all sorts of different little things off to the side of it and attached to it. So it's more, I guess, built like a medieval structured cathedral rather than a modern church where things are just built and focused on trying to get you into a pew. This has all sorts of different things, including like a social safety net kind of aspect. It has monks as well as priests and all sorts of different things like that. So it's very diverse in its environment, and it is quite large. In fact, it's the largest of its kind in the world. There may be other gods that have bigger structures in other places, but this is, for the Bringer of Life, or Bringer of Light, I should say, the biggest structure in the continent. And I will show it to you now, or at least a version of it, I should say. Okay, so. Nope, I didn't move you guys. Well, we need to scroll down here anyway. Right. Bring you guys over here. And then it's going to be nothing but black. And hopefully I've done this correctly. Nope. Nope, did not move anybody. There we go. That centered it. Okay, cool. So as you walk towards the entrance, which you will be coming towards, there's a series of steps that lead to a marbled dais that enters into the temple. There are priests and clerics and some, I mean, they'd be effectively temple guards, but they're basically paladins who have been requested to guard the location, keep it safe from, you know, interlopers, I guess I would call them. And as you get closer, the other guard who was patrolling basically waves at you and says, "We'll see you later." And then she heads off through a gate and into another part of it. As you get close to the front, there is a young lady who is standing sort of center of the dais between pillars. And she is looking down at you and says, Pree, the Ordina Maxima would like to talk to you.
Okay.
And she says, if you can head towards the altar, you will be able to see her. Now, just for the sake of, because this is such a big building, I'm just going to move you myself because good grief. All right. It'll take a minute to reveal everything. Okay, interesting. Cool. Roll 20, man. You're weird sometimes. Okay. All right. So, that good enough? Nah. We'll uncover that and this. All right. So now we'll grab you and move you up. And then I gotta bring you all over here because this is quite a little walk, to say the least.
Oh my God.
Uh-huh. All right. There we go. It's a big old building. What can I say? So standing in front of the altar, and there is... Normally there'd be people sitting on the sides and the pews on either side going down, and then in the area on the far end of the building, there is basically where the congregants would sit, and sometimes the priests and monks in the morning when they're doing their services and preparing for the day. The choir kind of sits on the side here. But in the middle of that area, just in front of the altar, stands a woman. She is dressed in a large, elaborate robe with a hood. She has her face painted, and she wears several rings in her lip, and she has one in her nose, and she has a marking which goes down the middle of her face, all of which are symbolic of the bringer of life. And as she sees you coming towards, she says, Pree, I need you to speak with someone who arrived earlier today. They might need your services if you are interested.
I get paid?
I mean, probably.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, now I can't. Okay. Yeah, I was cutting you out too there for a second.
Okay. Yeah, you were like completely silent for me.
I was talking.
Okay. Didn't even hear anything. That was the problem. All I heard was, do I get paid? And so she says, probably. You said, okay. And she says, right. Okay, come with me and I'll introduce you to her. You may be familiar with her, but I mean, don't don't stare too much. She's a little odd. And she walks over this way. She brings you along. And you guys enter into a rotunda area. And sitting there, was he supposed to be there? I don't think he was supposed to be there. No, he's
You
not.
mean a big black nothingness?
Yeah, it will be revealed in just one moment. I got the wrong character there. That's the problem. I got Bart sitting there, and he's not supposed to be there yet. So I just gotta put the Bart Simpson. All right, bam. There we go.
Yep.
Okay, so people on screen will not see this yet, but we will get him over here now. All right. So sitting in chairs in this rotunda area is a young lady who has copper-colored hair. She has green, very bright, almost emerald green eyes. And sitting beside her is a man wearing what looks to be well-used, beaten plate armor with chainmail in, like, on the leggings and down the sleeves, but his top is all plate. He has a large sword which he's got positioned between his legs, and he's kind of holding, because normally it would be on his side, but obviously if he sits down it'll cause all sorts of issues because it's larger than a long sword. And he is stoically sitting there while the woman you know to be the memorialist sits in her chair reading a scroll. And as she finishes, she looks up and says, "Ah, you've finally come. Welcome."
Hi.
I hope you are up to moving about a bit, because I would like to borrow your services for a little bit, if you don't mind. I hear you don't mind getting remunerated for your services. I'm sure we can come up to some sort of adequate arrangement.
Gotta eat.
Very true, very true. And she then walks up to you, bringing with her the scroll. She then puts that in her satchel and then pulls out a smaller scroll, which she unfurls. And it's just like it looks like a regular piece of paper, basically. And she shows you that she has just come back from Veilguard, and she has heard that in the capital, Taunus, there is an issue at their library, and she needs you to come with her because it sounds like it has been attacked this morning. Are you up for this little mission?
On we go.
As soon as you're ready. If you're ready now, we'll go now.
Go.
Okay. And she turns about, looks over at her companion and says, "Gareth?" He says, "Okay, Red. I'm ready when you are. As always." She says, "Good." And she then nods back at you and then nods to the head of your order and says, "I'm not sure when she'll be back. It might take a while. But if you need her for anything, just let me know. We're not exactly sure what's going on, and the fact that they called for me specifically probably means it's trouble. That might have, and she starts to go on a bit, and the Ordena basically goes, yes, it's fine, Mother. Don't worry about it." And the young lady nods and says, "Okay," but you sense, looking at her, that she kind of rolled her eyes at Mother. but didn't rise to it. And the other gentleman walks up beside her and says, "Well, I think we should probably get going then, Mother." And he has a little smirk on his face when he says it. And she says, "Look, not you two." And he says, "Okay, Red, no problem." And she rolls her eyes once more, and they turn to you and say, "If you're ready, we're ready. And let's go." So with that, you guys will leave the building. She will have 3 horses being led by a young cleric who basically guides them to you. The one horse is dark black and has eyes that are very dark and almost invisible in the night initially. But, you know, if it wasn't for the fact that it was moving and making noise, you wouldn't necessarily see it. The other is a white pony almost. And that one, obviously, the young lady hops up on, and the soldier gets on the other one, and then they hand you a brown mare. And as you alight that one, she turns to you and says, "We're going to be moving fast. These horses, I've been told, are actually quite quick. So I hope your riding skills are good."
Yep.
And she nods at that, says, "Boy, you are, you talk a lot. Okay, we're going to have to turn you down, Chatterbox." And she goes, "Giddy up," and pulls the reins on the horse, and the horse takes off, as does the other gentleman's. And without anything else, you would follow. And you guys ride through the night to Tanis. Now, the area you're riding through is pretty well protected. There are patrols along it fairly consistently. This area is very civilized, so there's not generally a lot of issues in that respect. So it's very quiet, very humble, I guess, to an extent, and very calm. There's farms along the way. It's most of the trees at this point have all been purpose grown in orchards rather than, you know, an old growth forest, as they've been cleared, and the area is very settled. So it's a lot different than, say, a small village where, you know, things can happen because there isn't necessarily the same level of protection. As you arrive in the city, it is middle of the night still, even though it took a few hours. It's probably about 3 in the morning by the time you arrive. And as you get there, there are guards at the edge of the city who mostly just fulfill the role of getting taxes from people going in and out, and effectively not much else. They don't generally have issues, so they don't generally have to do a lot of military things. So they're a little lax, I'm going to put it that way. And they, as they are coming, and you see them coming, or not coming, but as they're standing there, you see that they look up and they see her first off, and you see them touch their brows and kind of salute, and none of them says a word to you guys as you go in. A young man with he has like a kind of a rag tied around his head, and his ears are half covered, and his eyebrows are slightly pointed up a little bit, and his facial features are very I don't want to say thin, that's not the right word, but basically very, very softer feature,
Soft?
I guess. Yeah, I guess that's what we're looking for. And he says, "Mother, can I take your reins?" And she looks down at him and drops off the horse and says, "Yes, of course, son." And she says, if you'll take the other 2 horses, we'll come back for them later. Just make sure they have good food, okay? And the young man nods and says, yes, mother, of course. And she says, very good. Does your master know that we are coming? And he says, yes, ma'am. And she then moves with him and nods at you as if to say, follow me. And you guys migrate towards a building which is kind of off in the not the distance, that's the wrong word, but in a different part of town. So it's a bit of a walk, but you get there in about 15 minutes of fairly brisk walking, and you hit this area, and it is a structure which has a massive front on it. Has what looks like kind of pillars, kind of a Greek or Roman style building. And at the front, you can see that the doors have been blasted open, as one is hanging off of its hinges, and the other one is very much in more or less powder, I would say, but sawdust, I guess, would be a right word. And you can tell that the doors were fairly thick, and obviously it had been closed for the night when this happened. And as you arrive, you can still hear something going on in the building, even though it's been, hours. And there are soldiers surrounding the building, and there are several people in the building or in front of the building who look like they're dead. And the rest of it is very just buttoned down, effectively. And as you walk up to the front, there is a guard standing there, a young paladin who you recognize, not you personally, but your character would recognize as Banya Gwent, who is a paladin who works for the same temple as you do, but more to the point is someone you've actually trained with in the past. And she sees you and nods, but then sees the memorialist and says, right this way, mother. They're in there. We don't know exactly where. Anytime we try and get close, their things attack us. And she says, what do you mean things? And she says, they're probably about half again as tall as a human. They have kind of strange teeth which come up from the bottom of their mouths, and they hang kind of out of their jaw, and they're a disgusting shade, like greens and grays and blacks. We're not exactly sure. We've never seen anything like these before. At least I haven't. And the memorialist nods at her and says, no, orcs. And she says, yeah, we're familiar with them. They're from the other place. And she says, well, how many people do you have in there now? And she says, no one, mother. We're just trying to protect what we have at the moment rather than trying to burst in there. We figured we'd call you and see if you could help in the first instance. And she says, okay. Well, I brought this young lady with me who's fairly skilled with her weaponry, from what I understand. And, of course, Gareth here will be able to, show what he's made of, as always. Do you know where they are, roughly, in the building? We think they might be in the back, but they could have moved around. It's been so... They've been there for a while. She says, okay. And there's one other thing, Mother. She says, what? Well, there was someone with them. Someone who looked almost human and almost like a Prashina folk. But she had pale white skin, and she has dark hair and her cheeks have a blush about them that are almost like a blueberry color, I would say. And the memorialist nods at that and says, okay. I know what that is. All right. And she looks at you and says, Pree, if you see this woman, do not engage. You got me?
Why?
She's a Jensen folk, and she will, in all likelihood, have magic.
So?
My worry is she might be someone who has a lot of knowledge of it. Let me deal with her, is what I'm telling you.
Stab them. They can't cast.
She's usually got guards, but we'll see. Either which way, that's why we're here, is to try and help out. So, are you ready?
Some to stab.
She smiles at that and says, yeah, Gareth likes that too. She says, as far as I'm guessing, I would assume they've gone to the larger room, which is at the end of this hall. If we charge forward, it may be an issue, but it might be wise to move that way if we can and just slowly make our way forward. She looks at the two of you and says, are you ready, to Gareth? And Gareth says, always, Red, you know that. And she says, all right, then, let's go. And she moves ahead, taking the lead. Gareth is right behind her, but you can see he's sort of steeled up to grab and do whatever needs to be done. And as you're following along with him, you guys move into an area which is an open square. There are shattered books, or not books, but bookshelves and desks, and a central kind of point of where people would like throw coins into for luck and that kind of thing. And that's been shattered. You can see that someone's done a real number on the place, basically, and turned everything over. And as you move forward, you'll... Sorry? You gonna say something?
Just looks around and says, so much for the pen being mightier.
The meliorist... the memorialist looks around at the havoc caused and says, far too often it's fairly weak. But, as we know, some things written down can be very, very dangerous. And she moves up to the end of the hallway, and there is bookshelves scattered about, some of which look like they're blocking the entrance, or at least have been put up like they're kind of blocking the entrance. And she looks down and looks at some of the book titles and some of the scrolls that are scattered about, and kind of has a bit of a glance, and she can hear, and you can hear, kind of as if somebody's rooting around. You can hear little thumps and clumps and noises of paper being shuffled and searched, and just generally all sorts of little sounds, but nothing major, just like little noises, as opposed to like what you would think you would hear in this kind of environment, where it'd be more like a warlike environment, I guess I would say, you would have thought based on what you saw. And as you guys move into the area, you see three orcs, I should say, not orc-like beings, who are standing in front of bookshelves. And there is a lady behind one of the bookshelves, and you can only tell she's there because you see the edge of her cloak, and occasionally catch a glimpse of her hair as she kind of ruffles her way through something, and you can hear grunts of frustration. And the memorialist says, "Having trouble, are we, Mildreth?" And the lady turns at that, walks around the bookshelf, looks at her, sneers, and says, "I'm having no trouble. That putting a sword through your face wouldn't solve. You know where it is. You've always known where it is, you and your mother." The
Bree's gonna roll her eyes and point her sword. Stop breaking crap.
The orcs look at the lady, and you can tell immediately that she's elven. You can see her ears kind of fluttering in every once in a while between her hair. But she doesn't look like anyone you've ever seen, because most of the elves you've ever, you heard about or seen are usually like a human skin color. They're not like pale like this. And she looks at the orcs and says, "Boys, do you want to rid me of these three, please?" And Gareth looks invitingly and nods and says, "If you want, it'll be short. However, Pree, would you like to make 10 gold right now?"
Okay.
"I challenge you. Take these three interlopers out, and I will give you 10 gold. Do it in less than 10 minutes, and I'll give you 100 gold."
And
he nods at that, and you see him actually step back and lean up against a wall, and you see his companion just kind of look at him like, "What are you doing?" And he just stands there. And with that, I would like you to roll for initiative, plus. Let me bring up the turn timer before you do, though. Oh, look at that.
well timed.
Mm-hmm. Oh, dear. All right. So they will go.
Right then.
And, okay. So she will then also roll.
Right then.
And, I don't know if that actually rolled. Oh, it did. Look at that. All right, cool. All right. So there we go. All right. So the memorialist looks at you, seeing that basically this bet is on the line. She looks warily at Gareth, but doesn't intervene at all. And you note that fairly quickly. And you see her basically blip out of existence for a minute.
Okay.
And then blip over on the other side of the bookshelf behind Maldrith. And that is her turn. The cultists, the orcs, move forward. And you see they have a chain around their neck with a large item, which looks to be a eye with kind of a silver bar behind it. And in the eye, at the center of the eye in the iris, it is a red and yellow, angry looking item, which actually is rolling. Like, it's hard to describe, but basically it's moving within the eye. So you can see that on their necks. And that's mostly what stands out. They have pretty tame weapons, so What they will do is they will move closer, but they are very wary of Gareth specifically. So while they get closer to you, they are a little intimidated, but they do decide to attack you. Give me 2 seconds. I just need to bring up the right one. So the first one tries to go for a hit. They are all carrying scimitars. And we're going to hope that this works. I don't actually know if that rolls anything when I click it. I rolled up way up there. Nope, that didn't do anything. Okay. Oh, that's because I have to do that. There we go. All right. Does a 9 hit you?
Nope.
Next one. 13?
Nope.
And last one. 22. Does that hit?
Yes.
Okay. So they will roll for that. And I need to bring up the dice roller.
Pree's just like, dodge, dodge, ow.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like, ow. And he hits you for 6 points of damage. Oh, okay. Thank you. We'll do that next time. And now it is your turn, because Maldreth basically has totally avoided you and turned back at the memorialist. And she starts to back away. That's kind of what she's doing. You can actually, if you bother to look, you would actually see that she appears to almost have fear in her eyes as she backs away. And she then blips out, and when she blips back in, she's actually quite a ways away, and she's out of your sight line.
Okay. Okay, well, Pree will take a swing at the one directly in front of her while cursing under her breath.
Fair enough.
Does that hurt? How does this sheet work?
So,
no.
If you roll on your weapon, just click the weapon name. That will roll the dice.
Yeah, I gotta figure out which one to click. Listed here a few places.
Okay, let me open it up so I can see what you're looking
There we go.
Okay, never mind. All right, well, a 7 would normally miss, but because you have advantage,
Cause ring-a-ding-a-ding-dong.
Yeah, sorry, my phone went off, and of course it's still hooked up to the to my headphones, unfortunately. So yeah, I need to stop that. Okay, so muting. Well, no, you wouldn't have advantage on this particular situation because even though they're very intense, they aren't necessarily going to stop, put themselves to a disadvantage. In fact, they're a little bit nervous of you. So you rolled a 1, basically. So you rolled a 7, but it's really a 1, so you missed. Okay. So the memorialist, seeing what's going on, looks over at Gareth, and you might note her meaningful gaze at him if you were to notice. This might be too quick in happening. Gareth has got his weapon out, but continues to sort of lean on it rather than use it, and is waiting to see what happens. The memorialist, on the other hand, races towards Maldreth. You actually see her move, but in a way that her feet don't really touch the ground almost. And she glides over in front of Maldreth, who now is reeling from this and is starting to try and react. And the orc cultists, though, however, decide to continue to assault you with a worry eye directed still at Gareth, and one of them debating whether he should go after him, but we'll see what happens on this roll. So I got the right one up. So first attack. 7 does not hit, as we know. A 10 definitely does not hit. Does a 14 hit?
No.
Okay. These are very ineffective. All right. It is your turn.
I'll take a swing at the closest one again. There you go.
22 does hit.
Better hit.
Roll your damage.
Take that, yeah. Toothy so-and-so.
Oh, nope.
No,
you
that
just
didn't
rolled
work.
that again. No.
Don't like this sheet. Fine, it's 1d8 plus 4. Do this. Since the sheet's being weird. There. 9.
Okay, so next time when you're going to roll this, you should be able to just roll the... Does that not work? I'll have to look at that. But 9 points of damage? Ooh, I'm pretty sure he's dead, but I'll double check. Yeah, yeah, you hit him, and you cleave him. Now, would you like to describe how you kill this particular orc?
I take his head off.
Okay, so you take your sword to him, hit his head, and the hit basically lops his head off, and he falls dead. And just to make
The head at the other guys? Or is that my next action?
that would be another action if you wanted to do something like that. You
I
can
have
move,
any
however, if you
actions,
want.
do I?
So you can, unless you have a free action, you can move. You can attack.
I have no idea where that might be in this sheet.
Okay, so if you look on your sheet, so let me just bring up. Okay, I have your sheet in front of you. So what you have optionally right now at a level 1 character, you're probably not got a lot of free moves. It would be under bio? Yeah, bio. So you have Divine Sense, Lay on Hands comes, I think these come later. No, maybe Lay on Hands works. Yeah. As an action, okay, yeah. So so you don't have any free actions, basically, is what I'm telling you.
Nope. Okay. You can tell I didn't do this at all. Make this character.
So
Anyways,
let me
so
just
yeah, she'll
check
just
something for a second. Nope, yeah, that does weird. So that should be
she'll
rolling.
fine then. She'll just sort of shake the blood off the blade at the others, since that's not an action. It's just follow through.
All right. Oh, you have 2 hits. My mistake. I didn't realize you had 2.
What?
Because I just realized. No, you have a shield. It should only be 1. Why do we have 2 here? Oh, that's 2-handed. Never mind. Ignore me. I'm wrong. Okay. Sorry. I was looking at your character sheet and getting confused why there was 2 different longsword options. One, it's because you can do 2-handed as well. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm the one confused now. No problem. All right. So with that, so you move. Like, do you move up?
I can still swing at that guy from here, right?
You can, yeah. So you don't have to move if you don't want to.
I'll stay put for now, yeah.
Okay. All
I'm
righty.
not going to give him a chance to get at me.
Okay. While you do that, the memorialist is staring at the other lady and basically says, "It's your move. It looks like we have the upper hand now." And the lady basically says, "I don't plan on being here, but let me just say this. I don't know what you've done with it, but we'll find it. And when we do, you'll all regret it." And she blinks and goes away. The memorialist just kind of sighs, exasperated, and says nothing more. And turns around and starts to walk back towards where you guys are. Completely, not oblivious, that would be the wrong word, but basically ignoring these orc troublemakers for anything that they're doing. And looks over at Gareth as if to say, how's she doing? And Gareth nods approvingly. And so the two cultists, the one orc looking back at the memorialist decides it's better to go after you than her, based on what he just saw. So he moves closer to you, and they launch an attack at you again. At this point, probably foolishly, but nonetheless. Ooh, hit.
Yep.
And attack. 2 points of damage.
Okay.
And then the other guy, same thing, obviously, because that's all they can do. 18 hit.
My armor's 18.
So it does, yeah. I believe. Is that
Can
right?
I use my shield to block any of this crap?
Well, you're using your shield. That's part of your armor class.
Oh, well, I've only got 5 hit points.
Okay, well, you're down 2
I've got
more.
3 hit points.
All right, it's your turn.
All right. I'm going to go after this guy right in front of me.
Okay.
With the two-handed one and try and take another head.
Don't know why it rolled twice. That's weird. Okay.
That is very weird.
Maybe just accidentally double-clicked, possibly, or it just did it. I don't know why. Okay, so if you set
maybe because it's two-handed? No,
No.
Whatever.
It shouldn't do that. So, should I take the first one? Normally, I would take the first one, but I'm going to take the second one on this occasion, just because I really don't know what happened there. Let me just see if this actually rolls the attack. Oh, it does. Okay, so if you want to roll the attack, just to make it easy on yourself, if you click where it says longsword two-handed, it actually does the attack for you in the chat.
That's what I've been clicking.
No, in the chat.
Chat?
Yeah, in our chat message, you'll see it actually says your attacks and all that.
Oh.
If you click on the longsword two-handed.
That?
Yeah.
Okay.
So pick which one you hit.
The one right in front of me. I don't know how to mark it.
Okay.
That guy.
Yep, that's fine. And tell me how you kill him.
Again, I just take his head off.
Again, just takes the head off. This time with even more force. Just lops at the neck and off the head goes. All right. We're down
I'm in pain. She's getting mad.
We're down to 1. And I lost them off the tracker, but that's fine. Killed the wrong one.
Boy.
I'm going to have to remember about that. Okay. So that guy moves up and launches his attack. A desperate swing. He knows running at this stage is a waste of time because with 3 people around him, he's probably dead. And so he's going to at least try and exact some sort of revenge. Oof. And he rolls a crit. Oof.
Are you going to kill me in my first session, John?
Don't think so.
Sure looks like it. Sure looks like it.
I have not killed
your
anybody.
damage.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Oh, okay. So that does 11 points of damage.
Points left, John.
How many points left?
You killed me.
Okay,
3.
What is your negative now, though? So 11 minus 3 is 7 or 8. So you're at minus
-7.
8. Yeah, I know.
-8.
-8. Okay. So with that, you go down. As that happens, Gareth now takes his turn and slashes at the guy and basically backstabs him and kills him outright. And with that appearance, the memorialist walks over to you and she looks up at Gareth and says, well, that wasn't supposed to happen. Now, was it? As if to say, that was your fault. And Gareth shrugs and she reaches in her pocket and pulls out a flask and stuffs it in your mouth. And you go to 0 hit points or 1 hit point. So you are back up. And
Yay.
she says, just rest for a second. And she hands you another bottle and says, "Here, drink this."
She just sort of angrily takes it and chugs it.
Okay. Right. So what I'd like you to do is roll 4d4 plus 4, please. There you go. That puts you back to full.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So she nods and says, "This is what happens when you bet people, Gareth. You let them sit around and struggle while you just sit there and amuse yourself. Give the lady her money."
I wasn't struggling.
Okay, well, you were on the ground unconscious, so bleeding out? How about that?
They were extra stabby.
Indeed. They're extra dead now, though. And she says, "You did well, though. I think Gareth owes you a full payment, do you not?" Gareth
I won't say no.
chuckles under his breath and says, "Fine, mother," and reaches for a bag. It's a fairly weighty bag, and he tosses it at you and says, "Well done, miss."
Don't call me miss.
He says, "Okay, Paladin." And
Mildly better.
he smiles at that. The memorialist, on the other hand, while you guys are talking, walks out of the library and moves into the area out front and waves down the young soldier and explains what they had been able to accomplish, and then says they are free of the problem. Then she comes back in, she looks around at the mess, and then looks at you and says, "Have you ever heard of Cair Bryn?"
Have I?
Roll a history or religion check.
Religion's better.
No, you have not.
No.
She nods and
Is that
says,
what Pasty McAngry Face was after?
she smiles and says, "Yes. Something to do with that anyway. It's an old
He
fortress."
wants a rock.
It's an old fortress in the south. Once it was fairly large and well defended. It lasted through a number of battles, but eventually they grew a little bit too big for their britches. And one of my predecessors helped defeat them. That's kind of what they're up to.
Why do they want a fortress that's no good anymore?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm not sure why the Jensen folk are here at all. It's very confusing at this point. They shouldn't be here. They know the boundary is... They're supposed to be on the other side of it. Even the Prashina folk haven't been in this area for at least 100 years. And she nods at you. You are, of course...
Pree's just kind of be like... Doo, 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 doo.
She smiles as you do and basically says, "It's okay, dear. I spoke with someone who knows you better than you know yourself, maybe."
Nobody knows me.
She says, "Well, in truth, I think that's not inaccurate." She says, "I don't think most people know anybody as well as they think they do. But nonetheless..."
Philosophical, are we? All right.
"That's my job."
Because we are in a library.
Indeed. And she, in fact, picks up a couple of the scrolls and looks them over and looks back over at you and kind of nods meaningfully and then back at Gareth and says, maybe we should pick a couple of them up while we're here. Do a good deed. And as she says this, you see some clerics enter the building, and they're like, no, Mother, that's our job, not yours. Let us do our job. You are only supposed to read the books. You are not supposed to clean them up. That's not the job of you, Mother. And she nods at that as if that was wise words and says, okay, that may be the case, but... And as she's about to say something else, the young man that you saw earlier runs in, and he has a note, and he says, Mother, Mother. She says, what? What, boy, what? He says, there's trouble. There's a little village north of here, which apparently there's issues going on. They've had some sort of problem with people like these beings that you've been fighting. And she says, they're becoming more and more of a nuisance. Fine, let's go find them. And as she does, she turns to you and says, you up for some more adventuring? It's been fairly lucrative so far.
I guess.
She nods and says, put it this way, you stick with me for a little bit, I can make it worth your while.
Sleep's for the dead anyways.
Always. And she nods at Gareth and says, well, we should probably get moving. We've got a village to save and possibly something new to deal with. He nods and says, what village is this? And she looks at the note and says, Pentra. Apparently they're having an issue this evening with some cultists. Or bandits. I'm not really sure. They're not real clear. And he says...
Cultivating bandits?
Indeed. And they head towards the stable area, and they grab the horses that you guys had earlier. They've been patted down and cleaned up a bit and fed and generally look ready to go. And she says, let us head north, shall we?
As we mount up, Pree will look at Gareth and say to him, and it's Pree. Just Pree.
He nods at that.
No miss, no misses, just Pree.
He nods at that, says, Gareth Felding.
She'll shrug and nod at the same time.
He smiles at that and says, well, let's go then, shall we? And with that, you guys head off to the north. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. You can do that here, and you can watch the latest video up here. And if you want to know more about what we do, be sure to check out distractionsmedia.com.